Last time, on whatever this series is called.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first Dungeon of the Endless Last Man Standing amateur tournament ever. My name is Matt Gambler.
Wow, 3 leapers right there. And there are no turrets up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a draft. Only 2 turrets will be enough.
Oh, that was quick. Max goes down while Dina runs towards the turret, but still.
Wow, the turrets do good work and they should be fine after... Oh, Jesus, look at all those nibblers.
The mod mosquito stays back, but that's not enough. Those turrets will merely weaken those mobs. Now is not the time to save resources. God damn it.
Is this?
Damn.
But with her appearing, the mobs finally lose interest in Elise, who was so close to going down. My god. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second part of this LMS tournament.
But first, a quick shout out to the beautiful men and women at Amplitude Studios who decided to share the event with the whole community.
So if you're good looking, charming, and have a lot of money, go out with someone who works at Amplitude Studios today. Because they made us so happy, we even cried a little.
No, we didn't.
Shut up. The 7 remaining teams believe that they are prepared for Floor 2. And I'm very curious to see if that is actually the case.
My name is Matt Gambler.
The same goes for me.
And we are very happy to bring you Floor 2 of the Dungeon of the Endless.
Floor 1 took good care of our heroes, eliminating not 1 but 2 teams right away. The remaining teams, however, are far from being safe.
That's right, Matt. The first floor can be considered the easiest as well as the shortest. From here on out, things only get harder.
That's what she said.
Sorry, what?
Never mind. Now that we have established a common ground on how the game works, there are only a few lessons left to learn. So while the first major modules go down, there is one question in particular I want to address real quick. Matt, please tell me, why would I want to focus on research?
Well, obviously to upgrade your modules. Wow. Ken and Yulari even going for a double science opening here. A level 1 food replicator produces 3 food per open door. And while that is a decent amount, every upgrade up to the max of level 4 adds 1 more food to that. What a module costs stays exactly the same.
Well, you have to upgrade it first.
That is correct, but that is a one-time investment to permanently increase your module's output, and with every open door generating resources and 12 floors in total, that is a lot of times you gain 4 food instead of 3.
So in short, you can say that from all 3 producible resources, research is the most valuable, but also the one who takes the longest amount of time before it starts paying off. Is that correct?
Yep. The second aspect we want to talk about is what we can see right now, as Josh and Anwar have encountered the first Shadow clone, Mormish, who agreed to help them on their run for the very low payment of, I think it was 34 food. The team can consist of up to 4 members, and while not everybody will encounter other characters on floor 2 already, the odds for that aren't terrible. And given you open every door, you will most definitely meet another character on the 3rd floor the latest.
So that means we could have to deal with a second Josh or maybe a Yairi.
Not a Yairi, but everybody else can and will appear in the other team's dungeons. What matters for the purpose of this tournament is not that the original team starters survive, but how far the team as a whole can make it, no matter who it consists of in the end.
Oh, Josh and I are taking a little bit of crystal damage right there.
Yep, you gotta take care of those pests. Letting a mob reach the energy core doesn't result in an instant failure, but it reduces your dust reserves.
And you certainly don't want to make a habit out of that. Dust cannot be produced, so you gotta take care of what you find, because losing dust in turn results in more empowered rooms, meaning more enemies who might take away even more dust.
Or kill a character.
True. So being short 1 dust can in fact make a big difference in the long run. That said, Scroy and Ayari not only just found 10 dust straight, but also company.
Right, and Rakia here should be a big deal for those two, as they both cannot operate, which can be a big disadvantage. Troy and Golgi in the meantime got a little unlucky finding a... well, I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Let's go with Steel.
Fine, so this Steel can have a great variety of abilities, but I said unlucky simply because it's in the way, preventing them from building a major module.
Well, only for 3 turns, but yes, you want to build your modules ASAP to produce as many resources as possible.
Golgi and Troy stacked up on production for exactly that purpose, but the dungeon doesn't necessarily respect that.
Nope, it doesn't. Now while everybody and their mom are hauling in research points, Rakia and Elise here interestingly went for a double industry opening, which, well, they were the only team that straight up skipped production on the first floor, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, Rakia even operating an industry module for the time being, and look at Elise, standing there like a rock, picking off the whole crowd of nibblers on her own. I have to say she's one of my personal favorites regarding playstyle. And as we speak, it so happens that Golgi and Troy find their very own Elise to play with.
Well, yeah, I mean, Elise probably never really is a bad addition to any team, simply because of her strong fighting capabilities. Troy is a strong fighter himself, but he lacks in the defense department, especially early on.
Now interestingly, Skroig and Ayairi still haven't officially teamed up with Rakia, now going for their first food replicator upgrade here.
Ah, wow, Skroig rushing all the way to level 5 straight off the bat just to unlock that Red Plume ability right away. Red Plume probably is one of the strongest abilities in the game, as it turns every enemy in the room against each other, which can clear ridiculous amounts of enemies and basically makes him almost invulnerable for that period of time.
Indeed. Now they have encountered a merchant, which is is a good thing, but well, actually, you see Skroig and Ayairi share one weakness. Skroig only has 2 item slots, one of them being the spear, while Ayairi can't equip anything at all.
Oh, so even with 3 armors in their inventory, they can't really make much out of it.
Nope, Rakia could use some equip, but those two not so much.
Isn't that kinda harsh for Ayairi, no equip and absolutely 0 defense all the way up to level 15?
Well, she's definitely not the easiest character to play, but she has an interesting mix of skills. Still, if someone would tell me that she's underpowered, I would have a hard time arguing against that, which is probably why Skroig rushed to level 5 instead of sharing his food with her.
Too bad, I would be really interested in seeing her in action. Right now she is only used to block an unpowered room.
Yeah, and Skroig struggles to keep up, even basically wasting his red plume on a single room spawn there. He needs to find a weapon to at least somewhat raise his DPS.
Oppal and Septaros are getting the first industry upgrade in the meantime.
A little speed boost there from our referee Mormish.
Right. You know, Septaros always fascinates me. I have to say his full name every time. Like, I have no problem calling Lady O'Leary Tulak just Larry. But he...
Hold on a second. Just as he levels up, another enemy wave spawned behind him and they have no turrets to choke yet.
Oh, now I see. There is a Leaper in the mix and wow, a lot of damage being there, but he can't fall back and Oppal, I mean he has full HP.
But no weapon. Skill thrown down, but it's getting close. I can fully agree with that. They were out of food as well. Quite a close call there.
But hold on, Skroig and neutral Rakia feel a need for towers while pausing the game. Did we miss something?
Ayairi seems to be off somewhere else, and if they really are in trouble, then that level up was a huge mistake. But oh my, look at that. 3 sizable waves hitting the choke at the same time, and Skroig's red plume is still on cooldown.
And down goes the pause, but what can they do? Ayairi comes running with level 2, but they are out of food, Matt.
And they know it. The pause button can only support good decision making, but it could be too late for that already. Rakia can lend them a little bit of firepower, but... Oh, there she breaks down. Ayairi leaving the game for good. At this point, the outcome seems inevitable.
And I think it is. Skroig and Ayairi suddenly get hit in the face by a 3-pronged attack, and that level up right before the fight started. Such a bad, probably overconfident move right there. You need that food, you need that insta-heal ready for when something like this goes down.
Exactly, such incredible scenes playing out here before us. Matt, I can tell you my heart is pounding like crazy.
I know what you mean, Matt, but this is a game. This is what we all signed up for.
And we are not finished yet. Gork and Mitzi in the meantime still haven't encountered any neutral characters. And that could have grave consequences here, both of them being such slow, badly suited crystal carriers. They seriously need to find someone else so they can utilize their firepower instead of cutting it in half once the time comes to make a run for it.
Oh, but here's the last door, and that will be quite a tough run for those two. Wow, very lucky for Gork and Mitzi here. I mean, Rakia isn't the quickest character herself, but anyone really helps out a lot here, simply because Gork and Mitzi can both fire away while the core is carried by someone else.
And not only that, but in fact even more luck for them, as the steel that increases their speed is still up, and therefore will stay active even during the final run, providing the whole team with plus 100% in speed.
So with the very last room, everything seemingly turned out quite nice for those two. Well, in the meantime, Troy and Golgi still struggle. They interestingly were the only ones to encounter Silic supporters already.
And just a quick side note, we are talking about Troy, Golgi and Elise by now, but just so there's no confusion in between all those screen jumps, we will stick to the original 2 names only, no matter what the actual team looks like.
Right, now they have been dealing with a lot, especially due to their dust shortage, but despite having found the exit very early on, they still hang in there, throwing down a lot of turrets right now, making sure that they can in fact get every last bit out of this floor, and if they can make it, it will obviously be worth it.
Alright, now you just mentioned Silic supporters a moment ago.
Yeah, those are not to mess with, as they buff every other enemy in the room while withstanding huge amounts of damage. But what's even more interesting is that something like this can happen. I mean, what are the odds for only 1 out of 7 teams to encounter this kind of enemy, but repeatedly?
That is another beautiful feature of this game. Every randomized floor also sticks to a randomized theme of common enemies. Because of that, it could happen that the same floor holds a high number of leapers in one run and nothing but legions of nibblers in another. The toughest enemies can only appear in later floors, but you never really know what you're up against when entering a new level.
What the hell? Did Golgi just die? The team seems as confused as we are, and Golgi... Wow, I did not expect her to go down between all those turrets, but it just wasn't enough, and now Troy and Elise in a lot of trouble. These even were level 2 turrets already. I can't believe how easy the mobs broke through that.
I mean, I know I should say something smart now, but...
Troy and Elise are obviously as speechless as you, Matt, picking off mobs one by one, but can they recover from that? There is next to no food left, and there are a lot of monsters still making their way towards the energy core. Modules go down without anybody intervening. And that was the last heal. Now it's all or nothing, but it's looking grim, and yes, Elise goes down first, and Troy falls as well. It is game over for Team Golgi and Troy, and it might have gone a different way if those heals would have been spent on Golgi back in the turret room. But I think we can safely assume that nobody saw that coming.
Right. Thanks for covering there for me. I was just... Wow, I mean...
Don't mention it. Now for all those Troy fans out there, we have good news, as in the meantime Ken and Yulari teamed up with him, so we can see a little more of the short man with the long sword.
Then by now it's already time to make a run for it. The remaining 5 teams are ready to go, so let's hope they can make it.
Ken Masoki and Lady Yulari Tulak still showing no obvious weakness, and again this escape should pose no threat whatsoever, as they were able to power every room between them and the exit. The only danger they face now needs to catch up first, and referee Mormish quickly calls for the speed up.
Josh and Nano are here. I have to say I'm really curious about the next floors. Despite having no true damage dealer, they just do their thing, even spending as much dust as possible on items here, because they already know they can make it.
Well, the character composition really is a tricky one, but they got lucky with a very short way to the exit the second time as well. Only 3 rooms between the core and the elevator turns a lot of unpowered rooms into a lot of harmless places that are too far away.
As Tarosh and Oppa team up with Dina, Ratchet, and while some enemies could cut into their escape route, the first ones are mod mosquitoes, who go after the now useless modules instead.
Rakia and Elise hire Yulari for extra support and go for a slightly untypical approach for such an early floor. Instead of opening the last door, clearing any incoming waves and then removing the energy core, they stand ready to grab the energy core as soon as the last resources are in, and don't even bother defeating the incoming waves.
The disadvantage in that approach is that the mobs that spawn after the last door can team up with the ones that spawn after removing the crystal. The advantage? You can run away without killing them. If you are fast enough.
Considering that about a third of the incoming monsters will chase the crystal without fighting back, I wouldn't actually call this approach that risky here, but it still isn't something I'd recommend. On the other hand, I wasn't expecting Golgi to go down amidst 6 level 2 turrets a minute ago, so what do I know?
And finally, Gork and Mitzi, what can I say? Lots of tankiness, plus 100% speed from the steel, no unpowered rooms along the way. Easy peasy.
Let's watch Gork as he racks up some extra soil and green food.
Ah, beautiful. Now 4 teams already out of the game after only floor 2. To be honest, I wasn't expecting that many casualties so early.
Well, I wouldn't say those teams performed poorly, but rather very, very greedy. And while that can snowball and pay off big in a late game, being greedy and successful in the Dungeon of the Endless is probably an art on its own.
Now, economy-wise, a very research-heavy second floor, and Rakia leading the field industry-wise with a frickin' 153 industry to start into the next level.
Right, Josh and Nana on the other hand were quite unlucky with their initial few rooms, finally deciding only to build 3 major modules after all. Research-wise, on the other hand, all remaining teams are still going head-to-head, but keep in mind that some of these teams still have a considerable amount of research points left, ready to catch up or even pull ahead of the rest.
Well said. Now, we could talk a little longer, but we actually should get going so we can get to work on floor 3, right?
Absolutely, but Matt, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you actually say that's what she said in the beginning of this episode?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Are you out of your mind? We are professional shoutcasters, remember? And what was that blackout when Golgi died? Get your shit together, man, I mean.
And I'm not gonna lie, my cough had become worse. And after almost a week we got raided again and Pablo got wounded quite badly. And we had no bandages, no painkillers. All we could do was splash some fucking moonshine on the wound 3 times a day, while Matei fed all our meds into that bottomless pit of a disease that was his father. So see you later, Mrs. Spider. As she's gone, of course, panic mode sets in and spastically shaking left and right helps us to break free and get away.